React Native is one of the most popular frameworks for building cross-platform applications. In this course, I'm going to teach you the basics of React Native. So we'll be starting with how to set up the development environment in Windows and Macintosh system. What are the different hooks available in React Native and what are the components in React Native? So let's get started without any further ado.
First, install Chocolatey. It's a command line package manager and installer for Windows softwares. Open the PowerShell window with administrative access. Then enter the command from the official website to install Chocolatey and wait for a few seconds to complete the installation. And then open the command prompt with administrative access and install Node.js and OpenJDK. The installation command is choco install Node.js and install OpenJDK 8. Next, we can install Android Studio. I have already downloaded the installation file from the Android Studio website. Double click and open. Then install with the default options. It will take a few minutes to complete the installation. Once completed, we can create a new virtual device to run the app. So go to AVD Manager, tap on Create Virtual Device, then choose a device, then press Next. Select a system image, Next and Finish. We can start the virtual device with the play button. It will open a virtual device in our machine. We can simulate pretty much all the features available in a physical device. If you prefer a physical device, then you can connect to a device with a USB and enable developer options from advanced setting in your device. Now open environment variable from the menu and upgrade the environment variables for Java, Android SDK, and platform tools. In my case, Java Home was already added, but Android Home is missing. So click New and put the variable name as Android Home, and the variable value is a path of Android SDK folder. It is usually located at username / app data / local / Android / SDK. Now copy the URL and paste the value as the variable name, then press OK. Now we have Android Home and Java Home in place. Next, we need to update the path of platform tools into the path variable. It's usually located at the C folder, username, app data, local, Android, SDK / platform tools. Now copy the URL and go to environment variables. Search for path variable and add it. So all the configuration and installation steps are completed. Now we can create a new app with the command prompt. Open the command prompt and go to the desktop. And the command to create a new React Native app is npx react native init name of the application. So my app name is my app. So I'm going to create the app with the npx react native init my app. So it will download all the necessary files. Next, we can run the app in a simulator or a connected physical device. CD into the folder. Next, npx react native run react native run Android. Here Android is a platform name, so if you want to run it on an iOS device, then the command will be like npx react native run iOS. So it will converting all the JavaScript code into a native code. Once completed, the app will be installed and start in the connected device or in an emulator. Here we can see a Metro bundler. Metro is a JavaScript bundler that converts all JavaScript files into a single file. The bundling progress can be tracked here, and app will be open in the device. Next, we are going to see how we can configure React Native in a Macintosh system. First, I'm going to open terminal. Let me make it a little bigger. Okay, I'm going to install Homebrew. So let me open the website for Homebrew. So basically I want to copy the installation command and install this Homebrew with this command. So it will download all the required files and install the Homebrew in our Macintosh system. So in the meantime, we can go to App Store. We need Xcode. So Xcode is basically a development tool for iOS application. Let's search for Xcode, and I have already installed this Xcode in my device. So I'm opening this. Yeah. So that Homebrew is installed, we can verify with the command brew. Yes, we can see all the commands here. Okay, next I'm going to install Node.js. So there are two versions available. I'm going to select the recommended one, then install the Node.js as per the instructions. Okay, once installed, we can delete the installation file. Then I'm going to uh, the desktop, and I'm going to create the React Native application with the command npx React Native init name of the application. My name of the application is my app, so npx React Native init my app, and it will download all the boilerplate code, and I'm going to install with CocoaPad. So the it downloads all the required files. Then I'm going to remove that CocoaPad and install it again. Because that previous installation is not a success, that's why I did this. Then I'm going to open the preferences and open the components to download a simulator. This is same as in Android Studio. We can connect a real device or a emulator. I'm going to select an iOS 14.2 simulator, and we can run the application with the command npx React Native run iOS. So the emulator we already installed on, which is opened. This is an existing simulator, and this command will build the application, and the metro bundler is opened. There is an issue. Let me check what happened. Okay. Oh, we need to do pod install within from the iOS folder. So let me go to iOS folder and pod install. Yes, all the ports were installed. Now we can go back to the my app directory and run the command npx React Native run iOS. Now the app is compiled successfully and it is opened in our simulator. Let's get familiar with the React Native folder structure. Package.json is used to store the metadata associated with the project as well as to store the list of dependency packages. And the app.js is the starting point of the application that we are bootstrapping in index.js. As we can see, it's a regular React component. And Android and iOS folders, native code reside in these folders. It is necessary for native settings, packages, build versioning, and much more. The node modules or the modules installed using npm are downloaded under this node modules folder. In this session, we will see how we can design layouts with Flex. This is our main container box with yellow color. Inside the main container, we have three boxes with different colors, and these boxes are aligned horizontally and vertically. We are going to design the same layout with Flex. Let's get dive into the code. To create the styles in React Native, we need one API called StyleSheet. So import StyleSheet from React Native. We can create style object with the StyleSheet API, and these style objects will be injected into the view element. So now I am going to use the prop style to inject styles. Then create the style object. So const styles equal stylesheet dot create, and my class name is container. You can give whatever name you wanted to give, and we need styles display value flex and flex value 1. Now provide styles dot container to the style prop and save it. If you look at the top of the screen, you can see the text we given is aligned at the top of the screen. So we can give some margin at the top, margin top 50. So all the content within the container will keep a margin from top. Then I am going to create boxes within the container. So create a view and let's give a style prop, style equal name of the class. Create a class box1, give a width of 50 and height 50. Then inject this styles dot box1 to this view, and the background color of the main container is yellow. So let's give background color yellow, and the box 1 is red. The background color red. Now we need two more boxes. So create another box, just copy and paste and rename the class box2, and one more box which is box3. Copy the box 1 style objects for box 2 and 3 and replace the background colors to blue and green. Now here we can see three boxes aligned vertically. By default it will allow it align vertically. We can give a flex direction row to allow horizontally. So flex direction row. We can also try, yes, we can also try a row reverse, which is to start from the end of the line. Yep, that's it. Also column is the default to flex direction. Let's try column. Here, if you try column reverse, it will be start from the bottom of the screen. Let me make it back to the row, and we want to try one more property, which is justify content. This is to align the contents. So first one is center. So all the items within the container will be aligned into the center, and space between will uh, align the full width, utilize the full width, and keep maximum space between the boxes. Space around will keep space to the left and right of the each box in the container, and for space evenly will keep equal space between the boxes. Then let me move the justify content to center and align items to center. Now this content within the main container will align horizontally and vertically center. Now let me remove this align items, justify content, and the width and height of the three boxes, and see now three boxes and with a flux value 1. So we can see three boxes, each one cover flux 1. That means each boxes covers equal area of the screen. Let me try to modify the box to uh, display value flux to 2. So box 2 with a flux 2. Now box 2 covers double the width of box 1 and box 3. If we give flux 2 for both box 1 and box 3, then again all the three boxes covers the equal width. Also we can try flux direction column. Yeah, now all these three boxes aligned uh, vertically. Next, we are going to build a counter application with React Native. So before that, let's keep this flux part in a separate file. We can create a folder named screens and a file flex.js. Then move all the code from app.js to flex.js, and we can replace the name to flex, const flex, and export default flex. And inside app.js, we can import the boilerplate code for the functional component and import flex.js into the component. Import from screen/flex, and the component name is flex. And now we can replace this view with the flex. Now this flex code will be rendered within this app.js. So in React Native, there are two types of components, a class component and a functional component. In this series, we will be using functional components. Functional components are just JavaScript functions. To manage the state of this component, all the other React features, we will use React hooks. In this video, I'm going to create a counter application. We have a button. Each time the button pressed, counter value will be increased. Let's start by creating a file within screens folder. File name is counter.js, and this will be a functional component. I can import the boilerplate code with the shortcut RNFC, and then import this counter component within app.js and replace flex with counter. Now the component is ready. So first we can do some styling. Um, then import style sheet from React Native and create a style object. Const styles equals style sheet dot create, and name of the class is container, and display property flex, and the flex value will be 1. Then align all the items to center. So justify content center, align items center. So horizontally and vertically it will be aligned to center. Then here we can inject styles dot container to the style prop. Now we need a variable to store the counter value. Since this is a functional component, each time the component render, the variable will be reset. To extend the features of React class component to the functional component, React introduced hooks. So for this state variables, we use a hook called a useState. And the state variable name is counter. So we can replace the state with counter. And the variable can be modified with the set counter function, and the initial value will be 0. Then we can display the counter value within text component. Yeah, now you can see this is 0. I can modify the counter value by set counter function. I'm going to create a button for that. Once the user click on the button, that counter value will be increased. In React Native, we can use touchable opacity to create buttons. Touchable opacity with the button label. For the label, I can use text. Yep. Touchable opacity will accept a prop called onPress. On tapping on the button, counter value will be setting. So we will take the current value and set it to current value plus 1. So counter value will be increased by 1. This is the current count value plus 1. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is how we can modify this state variable. Next, we will use another hooks, useEffect. UseEffect is basically to perform side effects in components. Data fetching, setting subscriptions are some of the examples of side effect. In this example, I want to make the value of the counter to 10 once the component rendered. I'm creating a hook here, useEffect. This is the boilerplate, and here we can see the input. Let's remove it. So whenever the dependency items within the array changes, the code within the useEffect will be executed. Here the array is empty means the code inside useEffect will be rendered only once the component is initiated, mounted. So if the array is empty, dependence array is empty, it will render at the first time and each time the component render. And if there is a dependency item, then the code within the useEffect will be executed only when that dependency item is changed. Okay. So I'm going to set the count value to 10. Now we can save it and let's, okay, I forgot to import useEffect from React. Now we can see the value is 10 and initially the value is 0. Once the useEffect is executed, value will become 10. Next, I'm going to add the counter as the dependency item. Let's save it and try. I'm going to add. So the item, actually the value is changing, but again the item is re-rendered. So the code within this hook will be executed and it reset back to 10. If I remove it, as we can see, it is increasing. Next, we are going to familiarize with another hook called UseContext. Usually, we transfer information across component using props. Props stand for properties. These are basically global variables or objects. So when we come to UseContext, it is actually provide a way to share values between components without passing the props down on manually each level. That means UseContext is designed to share data that can be considered as global for a tree of React components. A few of the examples are theming across the components and implementing the preferred language, etc. So in this video, I'm going to create and implement a light and dark mode with and without UseContext. So first is without UseContext. I'm going to create a button and the theme changes to the dark and light mode based on the props passing from the parent component. First, I will be navigating to the screens folder and create a file theme.js. Now import the boilerplate code for the functional components and then import this uh, theme.js within app.js. Then I will be creating two components within this theme file. Uh, so first one is toolbar component. So toolbar. Then I'm creating a component const toolbar, an arrow function. Then and return view. View is already imported from React Native, and within that toolbar I'm going to use a primary button. It's a new component that I'm going to create. Const primary button, uh, an arrow function, and primary button. Within that we are importing touchable opacity, same kind of a button, and this is also imported from React Native. Within the touchable opacity we have a label. So label can be written within text. Text is also important from React Native. So then we can close the touchable opacity and let's save it. Here, as you can see, the toolbar, the button is staying at the top of the screen. That means in the header. So we can get rid of this by using a safe area view. A safe area view is actually avoiding a certain area at the top header. I'm going to define two themes, dark and light modes. So const themes equals first one is the dark mode. So each theme has two colors, one for the background and one for the foreground. And in the dark theme, the background color will be black, and the foreground color will be the white one. And similar to light mode, the background color will be white and foreground color will be black. Okay, okay. Now I'm going to pass this theme as a prop inside this toolbar. Okay, so I'm going to create a prop theme equals themes dot the current theme. So the current theme I'm going to apply is the light one. Okay, so theme equal themes dot light, and I can use this prop, this theme prop, within this primary button. So in order to receive that prop within primary button, we need to consume it within toolbar. So const theme equal props. Okay, now I got the theme within toolbar. Now I can pass it into primary button. Okay, then theme equal uh, theme. Okay, so now within the primary button, again props and const the theme equal props, const theme equal props. Okay, now I received the themes within this primary button, toolbar, etc. So I can switch colors uh, based on the theme from this theme prop. So I have the current theme and its background color and foreground color. So style equal background color is theme dot background, and the color for this button will be um, color theme dot foreground, themes dot themes dot that color should be, yeah, the color should be the foreground. Okay, yeah, it should change to, yeah, let's change it to foreground. Now you can see the color switched to um, the dark mode, and we can apply light, so the color theme of the app will be changed to light one. So this is how we can implement uh, using props, implement the theming using props. So we are passing props across these components. So next one, we are going to see how we can implement the same using UseContext. So first, I'm going to create a constant, const theme context equal, we can get it from React. So React dot create context, and themes, uh, and the default one is the dark one. Okay, now I'm going to wrap this um, theme within this context. So theme context dot provider, and just put this entire thing within this theme context, and the initial value I'm going to set is themes dot dark one, and remove this prop, theme prop, and inside this toolbar I can remove these props, and I don't want to pass this theme prop within primary button. I can remove it from there and within from primary button. And now I can use this context directly within this primary button. We can use context, and yeah, the theme context is the context we have, yeah, right here. So we can, instead of passing props within toolbar to primary button, we can consume it directly within this primary button using the context. This is how we can implement uh, the theme using the context. Next hook we are going to check out is use callback. Use callback will return a memoized version of the callback, and it changes only when one of its dependency is changes. So in this example, I'm going to build a sample scoring application, and we will analyze the number of re-renders with use callback and without using callback. So I will create a folder for that, scoring, and inside scoring I need a file, home.js, and import the boilerplate functional component, and go to app.js and import the home into app.js home, and close it. And then inside home, um, we are going to show a few information regarding the candidate. Okay, the candidate name, height, and the score of the candidate. Also, we will create two buttons. Using the two buttons, we can increase the height and score of the candidate. So for that, we need a common component to show the label. So I'm going to create a file, label.js, and import the it's a functional component, and import within home label, and we need two props, and we will pass within label. Okay, here if you can see at the top that section is uh, below this header, so we will use safe area view. Okay, now the first is name of the candidate. Then we are going to pass the field name. Okay, so field name. So first field name is the candidate name. Okay, and then I'm going to pass the value. So let's give a value like uh, John Doe, and the next label we needed is the candidate height. I'm going to create a state variable using useState hook, useState, and the name of the variable is height, set height, and the initial value of height is 5. Then pass the height variable to value prop. Okay, uh, we forgot to import useState from React. So next I'm going to create another label, candidate score, and I'm going to create another state variable which is score, set score, and the initial value of the score is 10, and pass this to the value prop. And now we have three labels, and inside label we are going to use this props. um, so first one is the field name, and second one is the value. Okay, it's value. Yeah, yeah, it's field name comma value, and I'm going to show this within text field name. Then the value put it here. Okay, only value is showing here. Something wrong with the field name. Yeah, it's the spelling mistake. Let's copy this field name and put it here. Okay, now we will see all these three labels with value. Let's give some styling. Um, let's give a margin value of 5. Oh, let's put it to 15. Yeah. Um, then, now I'm going to console this value to know how many times it is rendered. Okay. Okay, next we need a button to change the height and the score. So for that I'm going to create a component button within scoring. So button.js, and it is a functional component. I'm going to import touchable opacity from React Native. Using touchable opacity we can create the button. Okay. Let's import button, and I'm going to pass the label. The first button as the label is increase height, and the next button, okay, yeah, before that let's pass this props and use it const label equal props. Okay, now put it the label within the text, then log this label. This just to know that how many times it is when it is rendered. So this can be visible in the developer console. So I will show how to open that. So now the label will be available here. So give some styling for the button, padding value of 15, and the background color is, let's say, green or gray. And yeah, put some margin of 5. Okay, this is fine for now. For the text I'm giving a color white, and the font size 12. Let's put it 16. It's better now. Okay, so whenever the button is pressed we will pass a prop to the parent. So on button press event we will trigger this on button press, and we will consume within this parent button component. So on button press event, we will execute a function on increase height, and create a arrow function on increase height. For now, we can console it, just to know that the button is pressed. Increase height. Okay, so we need one more button, which is to increase the score of the candidate. So increase score, and on button press we will trigger on increase score. Okay, on increase score, increase, yeah, and I'm going to set the height once the button is triggered. So once increase height triggered, we will set the height with the current height plus 1. Okay, so set height is the current height. We will take it and add 1 into it. It's the same as increase scores, set score, score plus 1. Now let's save it and see. So increase height. So initially it is 5, 10, and now we will increase the height. So as you can see, the candidate height value changes. Then increase score. As you can see, the score is changes. Now, if you look at the return section of home.js, we have 5 child components, 3 label, and 2 button. So each time a button or a label rendered, the console log, that means that content inside that log will be appear in the developer console. So we can open the developer console using command and control D, and I'm going to debug with Chrome, and the developer tools will be open in Chrome, and all the items, all the console items will be appear here. So let's see the items. First is a candidate name, candidate height, candidate score, in the 2 buttons console. Okay, and these are the console items we can see in the developer console. Now I am going to increase the height. So when I button pressed, all the 5 components were rendered. Okay, and when I increase the score, again all the 5 components are rendered. So we don't need this. We only want to change the value once the prop is changed. So I can use react.memo. So basically what happen is the button will be executed only when the prop is changed. Okay, same in case of label. I'm going to wrap with the react.memo. Now we'll go to again go to Chrome and increase the height. So now if you look at this, only the label is changed. When increase score, again only the labels are changed. Okay, now again if you increase the height, we need to only render the height, right? So for that I'm going to use, we have a hook which is called use callback. Let's use callback and wrap the function with use callback, and the next second argument will be the dependency array. Use callback and dependency array. Dependency array is basically whenever the items within dependency array changes, the value will be changes. So in our case, when we increase the height, the current height will be increased by 1. Okay, yeah, so we increase the height and only the candidate height label is executed and it is rendered. When increase the score, only the score label is re-rendered. This is how we can use callback to prevent unwanted re-renders. Next we will see how to use the hook UseMemo. Use memo hook return a memoized value. Think of memoization as caching a value so that it does not need to be recalculated. In this example, I am going to write a function which returns some value. That returned value will be stored into a constant calculation. Const calculation, and the function name is expensive calculation. Expensive calculation. And also I will pass score as an argument to this function. And we will observe the render behavior of the expensive calculation function with and without UseMemo. Now define this expensive calculation function. It's an arrow function, const expensive calculation. And we already passed the score. Here we will do an expensive operation, iterate 1000 times, and in each iteration 1 will be added to the num. So index less than 1000. In each iteration num equal num plus 1. Also log something to the console. So in console window, each time the expensive calculation function executed, we can see this in the console. Result from the expensive calculation will be stored to calculation, and we want to show the value. For that, I am going to create a new label with the field name calculate and the value calculation. Now if you look at the simulator, the one more label is displayed. Let me open the developer console and clear the window. Then I increase the height. In the console, calculating is displayed. That means expensive calculation function is executed. And again I am going to increase the height. Again expensive function is executed. So ideally I only want to execute expensive calculation when score value changes. So I am going to use memo, and the function is expensive calculation, and the dependency value is the score. Now clear the developer console values. Now the calculation is not executed. Then increase the score. Now it is calculating. So one thing missing is the value in label. The calculation value is not displaying. It's because we are not returning it from the expensive calculation. Return now. So it will be available in the display. So when we increase the score, it is changing. In order to load data from a remote source, we may need to make HTTP request to the remote API. In React Native, we can use Fetch API for networking needs. There are a bunch of third-party modules also available for networking operations. Axis is one of them. Here I am going to consume an API to capture the list of movies from a remote URL. To test and see the response from APIs, we can use this tool called Postman. I have a URL to get a list of movies. It's a get request. Tap on the send button to send the request. So then the response will be shown in the body section. List of movies with the title and description is the response of this get request. I'm going to use this API endpoint in our application to list the movies. Now let's go to the app and create a new file, movies list app.js. And this is a functional component. So import the boilerplate code for the functional component. Then I'm going to import this within app.js. So replace home with movies list app. Save it, and now our movies list app is rendered in our device. So I want to execute some code when the component is executed or component is rendered. So I can use effect, and I will make a function call, and the function name is fetch movies list. Then define this function fetch movies list. It's an arrow function, fetch movies list, and it's an async function. So async, use the keyword async, and I will call the API and store the response into the constant called a response. So const response equal, we have the API called fetch from React Native. So fetch of the endpoint. The endpoint is the one that we have just tried in Postman. So copy this and let's use this endpoint. Now the response of the fetch will be stored into response. So I forgot to import UseEffect, and then we can save it. Okay, then let's console this response. What are the information um, we have in response will be available in the console. So save it and see. And the response of this fetch request will be a promise. Okay, so we can convert the promise into actual response with the await keyword that we will see. Okay, save it, and now we can see it's a promise. The response is a promise. Okay, now I'm going to uh, use a keyword called await. Now we got the actual response. Next we need to convert this into JSON structure. So I'm going to use a constant and store the response into that. So const movies equal await response dot JSON. So now the actual list of movies will be available in this movies. Let's save it. Yeah, as you can see, there is a title, description, then the list of movies, the same as the response we received in this postman. I'm going to store this movies list into a state variable. So I'm going to use hook useState. The name is movies. We can set the movies with the set movies, and it's an array. Initially it's an empty array, and set movies of movies dot movies. Okay, dot movies. Now the list of movies available in this movies. So next I am going to list these movies here. So for that I am going to use flat list. Flat list using for listing the items. So use flat list. Flat list has a list of props. It has a data. Data is the input data that we already stored in movies. And render item will accept a component in which we can provide the styling and the data to be shown for each item in a flat list. And we will get the item, and we are going to show this item title within this text. So in each row the item title will be shown. Item dot title. Let's save it. So now you can see the movies list is visible in the screen. Now if you look at the screen, list of movies will be shown, and let me use safe area view to render the content within the safe area boundaries of the device. In order to move from one screen to another, we need to implement navigation. If you look at any application, navigation between the screen is an important thing. There are libraries available to implement different type of navigations. We are going to use a popular navigation library called React Navigation. We will be implementing three type of navigation with the React Navigation library: stack navigation, tab navigation, and drawer navigation. I'm going to create a simple app to demonstrate how to implement these three type of navigations. I will be creating a new folder to keep all the navigation related code. So create a folder navigations inside the screens folder. So navigations. Then we need a root file for the navigation, which is navigations.js, and it is a functional component. So import the boilerplate code for the functional component. Then import this navigations inside app.js. Then replace that movie list with the navigations. Now we are going to build the drawer navigation. Drawer menu is nothing but a UI panel that shows our app main navigation menu, which has three menus. So when the user click on the first menu, this will navigate to a screen where tabs will be available. The second menu will be navigating the user to the screen where stack navigation is available. And the third menu will navigate to the profile screen. So first we need to install all the required packages to implement these three navigations. So we will get all the information including the installation command. Then the usage will be available on the official website for the React navigation. React navigation slash native is the first dependency. React navigation is made up of some core utilities, and those are then used by navigators to create the navigation structure in our application. So we need a few more dependencies. This package is for Expo applications. We don't need this since this is not an Expo application. Going down, these dependencies, React Native screens and React Native safe area context are needed. Copy the installation command and install these two dependencies. These packages have a dependency on the native code. So in iOS, we need an extra step, which is pod install. We can install the pod using the command npx pod install iOS. In Android, few configurations needs to be added, which will available in this documentation. Just follow this to complete the configurations. As you can see in the terminal, both the dependencies are installing React Native screens, React Native safe area context. So installation is completed. Now we can start using the package. First, we need to wrap the screens with a navigation container. That means all the routes should be created within navigation container. So let's go to the documentation and see how we can import navigation container. So navigation container will be available inside native React navigation native. Import it and remove the unwanted code and uh, paste this navigation container. The first navigation we are going to implement is drawer navigation. To implement drawer navigation, we need a specific package for that. Let's search for the documentation. Go to React navigation documentation and let's search for drawer navigation. Here it is. As you can see in this documentation, drawer will be opened from the side and it has a list of menu items. We are going to add three menu items. First menu item will navigate to the page where tab navigation is available, and second is where um, demonstrating a stack screens, and then the profile. So first install this drawer navigation. Then I'm skipping this expo since this is not an expo application. Then we need two packages, gesture handler and reanimated. So install React Native gesture handler. Then React Native reanimated. I'm going with a specific version of reanimated version 2.2.4. So once completed, we can start implementing the drawer navigation. So first import this uh, gesture handler at the beginning of the application, somewhere in app.js or index.js. Then since it has some native dependency, we need to do the pod install. So npx pod install iOS. Now I can create a drawer using create drawer navigator. To use create drawer navigator, we need to import it from React navigation slash drawer. So go to the navigations.js and import the dependency. Then in navigations.js, we are going to create drawer navigation within this navigation container. So const drawer equal drawer navigator, then add the drawer inside the navigation container. The syntax will be like drawer.navigator, then close with slash drawer.navigator. Then we can add the screens within this drawer.navigator. To add a screen, drawer.screen, then it has two props. One is the component and then the name of the route. Then I'm going to create a screen for the drawer navigation. Inside screens, navigations, create a folder drawer, then the file profile.js. It's a regular functional component. Now go to the navigations and import the profile as the first drawer screen. Also, there should be a name for the route. I'm giving the name as profile. As we can see, a hamburger icon is visible. Tap on that icon will open the drawer menu. The menu has one option that we provided. Tap on this profile will open up the profile screen. Let's rerun this app. So the error will be removed. Run the app with npx react native run iOS. See, this has happened because I was not restarted the app after doing the pod install. Then I will be creating two more drawer screens here. One of the screen is a tab navigation stack, which will be having few bottom tabs. For that, we need a screen for the tab navigation. Before that, let's create the menu item or the route. I will be setting this tab navigation stack as the first drawer menu option. So I have to create a drawer screen with tab navigation stack as the component. The first option will be navigating to a screen where at the bottom of the screen will be having three tabs. Tap on the tab will navigate to the specific screen. So each tab will map to a screen. So let's create tab screen.js. Go to the file. It's a regular functional component. I will be creating the route for the tabs in this file. There is a dependency on React navigation to implement bottom tabs. Let's go to the React navigation documentation and see how we can implement bottom tab navigation. One of the bottom navigation is the material bottom tab. I'm going to use this one. I will be having bottom tabs. This is the one I am going to use. Copy the command to install the dependency and install. Now we need to import create bottom navigator from React navigation / bottom tabs. Copy this and paste it at the top of tab screen component. Let's create a const tabs equal create bottom tab navigator. Then the navigation tabs needs to be within tabs dot navigator. So remove view with tabs dot navigator. And we will be having different screens within this tab navigator. The first tab is dashboard. So tab dot screen. Tab dot screen will be having two props. First one is the component, then the name. So basically we want to create the tabs. So first is the dashboard.js, and then search.js. Then the last one is cart.js. Then import the boilerplate code for the cart, dashboard, and search page. Then yeah, then we can import these three screens um, within tab screen.js. So the first component is dashboard. The name of the tab route is dashboard. The second is search. The name is also similar, so search. And the last tab is cart. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm configuring to show this set of screens where the user tap on the side menu. Here the tab route name is tab screen. Okay, so let's go to the route navigation file, and here I am setting the first screen as tab navigation, which can be imported from the tab navigation file. Then I am setting the route as the tab screen. We will see what happened in the UI. This is the first option, tab screen. Tab on this menu will go to the screen which is the first screen of the tab navigation. At the bottom we can see all the available tabs. Here the icons are missing. Will show you how to add these icons later. These titles can be customizable. uh, there we have options in navigator. Navigate to the corresponding navigator. A prop called options can be used to customize the screen. Header can be hidden with the property called header shown. If you want to change it to false, the header of the screen will be hidden. Next, I will be creating set of navigations in which I will be creating stack navigation. So let's go to the documentation and search for stack navigation. Copy the native / stack installation command and install it through the terminal. We can create stack navigation using create native stack navigation. So go to navigations dot folder and create a folder stack to keep the stack navigation screens. Stack. create a file stack screen.js to write the stack navigation route. It's a functional component. Then import the function to create the stack navigation, which is create native stack navigator. So const stack equal create native stack navigation, and replace the view with stack.navigator. Inside the stack.navigator container, we can create multiple screens. Here I will be adding two screens. First one is the listing screen and the second one is the detail screen. Let me create two screens inside stack. So go to folder. The first stack file will be listing.js, then details.js. Both of them are functional components. Now we can go to the root navigations and add the stack screen as the first navigation screen. So replacing the tab screen to stack screen, name to stack screen. Okay. Okay, this error is because we missed to add component uh, and name in the. So we'll be giving the component as a listing and name is listing, and the second component is details. The name is details. Save it. Now we can see uh, this listing. So in order to go to detail screen, we need a route. I mean, we need a path. So I am going to add a button here in the listing screen, and tap on that button should navigate to the detail screen. So go to listing screen and create a button using touchable opacity. The label can be created with the text, and my button label is go to detail screen. When the user presses this go to details screen, it should navigate to the detail screen. So we will be using a hook called use navigation from React navigation / native. Const navigation equal use navigation. So one press event happens, we will navigate to specific screen. So syntax will be like navigation dot navigate the target route. Okay, so navigation dot navigate the target route is the detail screen. So let's go to the details and click on this listing. Will navigate to the detail screen. The button, clicking on the button will navigate to the detail screen. This is how we can implement different type of navigations in React Native. Now we are going to explore how to add icons in React Native application. So in this video, you will see at the bottom of the screen there is a three question marks. So the icons were missing there. So we're going to use one popular library called React Native Vector Icons. So React Native Vector Icons is a set of icons from different icon libraries. So it has font awesome and typo, etc. So let's go to the npm package and let's see the GitHub repo to see the installation instructions and the bundle icon sets. So these are the icon sets available. So we can start by installing this package npm install React Native vector icons. So for the iOS, we need to provide all the available icon sets into the info playlist. So let's copy this and update within the info playlist. Paste here, and now we need to do the pod installation. Npx pod install. Okay, now we can rerun the application with npx React Native run iOS. Now what happened is the React Native vector icon is added into our React Native application. Okay, now we need to give a proper icon to this tab bar. So let's go to the tab screen, and each screen we have options. So inside the options we have the uh, provision to give the tab bar icon. So let's uh, add tab bar icon, and we have a few things that uh, we know whether it is an active item or not. So that is actually the focused, and the color, then the size. Okay, so here we can return the icon, and the syntax of the icon can be taken from the documentation. Let's go to the doc, and yeah, here this is the way that we can import an icon. So now we are going to import an icon from font awesome, and the usage will be like this: the icon and the name of the icon, then the size. Now we can save it, and you will see a new icon will be applied um, instead of that question mark. Yeah, like this we can use the icon anywhere in our application. We can adjust the font color and the size of the icon. In the following sections, we will see some of the components available in React Native. The first components we will be seeing is activity indicator. So I'm going to keep all these in a different folder. Let's create a folder called components. Let me close all this, open the windows and create a new file within components. The first component is activity indicator. So create a file activity indicator.js, and it is a functional component. So import the React Native boilerplate code for the functional component. Okay, so then we can import the activity indicator from React Native, and we need to do some styling. um, so let's import a style sheet from React Native, then create a style const style equal style sheet dot create. My class name is container, so container with display value flux and flux value 1 and flux direction um, row, then justify content space between. So let's go to app.js and import this activity indicator. Screens, then components, then activity indicator. Replace the navigations with activity indicator. Save it. Okay, this is because we are using the same name for the functional component. So let's replace the name of the component to activity indicator screen. Okay, so activity indicator screen, export this activity indicator screen, rename the file name also. Now save it and go to app.js and replace the activity indicator with activity indicator screen. Yeah, now the component is loaded. You can see an empty screen here. Let's put this style equal style. Let's rename the style with the styles. So styles dot container. Then copy the activity indicator and replace the text with the activity indicator. So now as you can see, a loading mask is there. That is actually the activity indicator. So it has a few props. One of them is the color. So let's try the first active indicator with the red color, red. And also we can give a size for the activity indicator. It comes with the um, uh, small and large size. Let's have another one with the blue color, and yeah, so let's try small. Yeah, before that, let's justify content. We can give some spacing from left and right. So try with the space around and replace the style size with large one. Yeah, yeah. This is how we can use activity indicator in our React Native application. Next component is a switch. Switch is a toggle type of button. First, let me create a new file inside components, switch screen.js, and then import the boilerplate for the functional component. Then go to the app.js and import switch component. So import from screens slash components slash switch screen and replace the activity indicator with the switch. And we need some styles, so copy the styles from activity indicator into the switch screen and import style sheet from React Native and style equal styles dot container. Now import switch from React Native and replace the text with the switch. Then let's update the justify content space between to center and remove the flux direction and apply align items to center. Now we will be able to see the switch. We can make it active or inactive. In order to add the state, we have to create a state variable. I will be using the hook useState to create the state variable. And the name of the state variable I'm going to give is enabled. And initially it will be false. Also import the useState hook from React. The switch has a prop called value. It's a boolean. If the value is false, then switch is in the inactive state. If the value is true, then it will be in active. So we can change the state using the state variable. Now we are able to control the state. So next prop is on change. So I want to change the state of this variable based on the user. Click on the switch. So on change equal, I'm going to write a function on change switch, and it's an arrow function. So once the user tap on the switch, the current state of that switch will be flipped. So I am setting is enabled to the opposite of current value. So if it is true, I will make it to false and save it. As you can see, the button state is changed once the user tap on that switch. Next, we are going to familiarizing few of the props available in switch. So one of the prop is iOS background color. So setting it blue, change the switch background color to blue. Let's set it as gray for now. And next one is the track color. Uh, if it is false, we can show red, and if it is true, I'm setting it as violet. Let's save it and changing the state. Now you can see the color becomes violet. Next component we are going to explore is an alert. Let's create a new file, alert screen within components, alert screen.js. Import the boilerplate functional component and import the alert screen component in app.js. From screens components alert screen, replace the switch screen with alert screen. Now let's import button from React Native. Replace the text with button. And let's copy some of the styles we already written for the other component and import the style sheet from React Native and apply the same style to the view. So style equal styles dot container. Button should have a prop called title. So title equal show alert. The button title is displayed, and next the color of the title is red, and there is one more prop which is on press. So when the user tap on this button, that function will execute. So show alert. So define the arrow function const show alert. So once the user tap on this button, we need to show the alert. So import alert from React Native, then alert dot alert. It should have a title. The title, I'm giving a placeholder title, then the description text, so that is subtitle, then the possible actions or the buttons. It's an object of arrays. The first button text is ask me later, and on press something will be showing in the console. So console.log, let's say ask me later. Let's copy the same object. The next button text is OK. So once pressed, it will console OK. And I will be adding one more button, which is cancel. Console it cancel. Okay. So click on the alert will pop up, and clicking on any option will close it. Okay. Also the console will be displayed. So next we'll be showing how we can replace the button with a touchable opacity. Touchable opacity is a customizable button. We can create different uh, buttons with the style. So you should have a text show alert, and we can give the style for the touchable opacity style equal styles dot custom button. Let's write the styles for the custom button. Background color of gray and padding of, let's say, 15, and a border radius of 8. Next we can give styles for the text. So give a class to the text style equal styles dot button text. The color, first we can give the font size to 20, then the font color, so color is white. Yeah. Then we can give action to this touchable opacity by giving the prop on press, which is similar to the button on press equal show alert. So the same action is available in the button will be available in the touchable opacity. Next we'll see how we can show images in React Native application. So let's create a new component, image screen.js, and import the boilerplate functional component. Import this image screen in app.js from screens components image screen. Then in image screen, import image from React Native. Then we can use safe area view. And image, there are two ways we can show image in React Native. One is a remote URL, other one is from the local file. So first I am going to use a remote URL. So source equal URI, then the remote URI. Okay, let me copy the URL, then give the URL here. Then we need to give the dimension for the image. So styles, we need to give style equal styles dot styles dot image. Import style sheet from React Native, and const style equal style sheet dot create. My class name is image. I'm going to give the width of 200 and height 200. Now we can see the image here. So next I am going to give a local image file. So for that I need to have a file. So create a folder assets. Inside asset we can save the image. File name arms. Okay, the file is available in assets. Create another image, and now source equal, the syntax is like require, then the path of the file from assets arms.jpeg. So we need to give the style. So style equals styles.image. Now we can see both image from the remote URL and local file will be there. The next and the last component we are going to familiarize is a modal pop-up. The modal pop-up component is basic way to present content above an enclosing view. So create a file in component modal screen.js. It's a functional component, and import the modal screen in app.js. From screens, components, modal screen. And replace the image screen with modal screen. What we are going to build is we will be having a button to open the modal pop-up and a button within the modal pop-up to close the modal pop-up. Okay, so import modal from React Native. Then we have buttons. We are going to create buttons using touchable opacity. Then wrap the content within safe area view. Import safe area from React Native instead of React Native safe area context. And let's create a button to open the modal pop-up. So we'll be using the touchable opacity. The label for the button will be placed inside the text. So the label is open modal. In order to handle the open and closed stages of this model, we need the variable state variable. So I'm going to use state hook to create the state variable. So the name is visible, and I can set the visible flag by set is visible, and the initial value will be false. So then we can import useState from React. Then we can import the model, and let's have a same button within this model. So this is basically to close the model. uh, I'm going to place the button within the safe area view. Okay, so the button is ready. Let's give some styling to the button. The style equal styles dot the object name. So first let's create the styles. So I imported the style sheet, then create the styles constant. Const styles equal style sheet dot create, and the first class name is open uh, button, and then we have the close button. Let's give this classes style equal styles dot open button, and background color for the open button is green, and the padding of 15, and the border radius of 8. Okay, styles dot close button. Let's copy and give the same styles to the close button instead of change the background color to red. Then we can attach the state to this model. So model is actually a prop called visible. Visible equal is visible, and we can control the is visible flag with set is visible. So let's have the function executed when the button is clicked. So we have a prop called onPress equal, the function name is open model, and it's an arrow function. So whenever this open button pressed, we are going to set visible to true. So click on this open will open the model, and the close button will be close button is actually within this model. That close button will be appear. Let's give some more text. Open model opened. Since both the background and the model has same background color, it seems to be white. uh, Giving some margin top of 15. Then we can give some uh, view, and within that view we will be giving some styling. Style equal styles dot model content. Model content has a padding of 15, and yeah, now we can close the model. Let's give the same on press prop for the touchable opacity, then close model. So once close model function triggered, will be setting is visible to false. So the model will be closed. Let's try close model pressed. That green button will be visible. Green is actually um, above the model. So we can give animation type for the model. I'm going to give a slide. So click on it, will open the model with a sliding animation. And let's give a background color gray. So open model will open the pop-up model, and closing it will close.